Let me have start with a quick introduction. I'm currently working as a service lead for information data services operations. So information data services is a team in Adobe which actually is responsible for providing the data insights to the various businesses. So and I have been in data world from almost 15 plus years across, as I said from the beginning, where it was more of a data management. Uh, uh, of course, even Senthil touched upon it, where it was more on a SQL, PL SQL, or any of the tools that we used to use as an ETL. One important tool, or one of the favorite tools for everyone, would be the Informatica, where we would have used that for a lot of transformations of the data. But as we moved on, we have seen that how the data has been grown and how it has moved to the distributed systems, and now it's all via services. So and I've covered a lot of business side as well, where we have done the customer 360 and master data management for the enterprise customers. Uh, we did a project on territory account profiling for the enterprise customers, uh, and it was very insightful projects on in Adobe. And later part, from last couple of years, I've moved to the operations team, where I have the experience from as a data modeler and also as a data analyst, and now looking after the data operations. So quickly moving ahead, so we at Adobe actually we are responsible as a team to ensure all the data pipelines that we support is is available to the business users in time. And what exactly is a data pipeline? I think most of the data lovers who are here uh, understands this. Of course, the we various sources the data comes in, and today it's like vast sources that we have, where the data is being ingested into the and also the integration layers as well. There are enormous integration layers, there are batch processing, there are real time, and data loads of course are having, we use within Adobe itself, we use multiple ETL tools apart from the processing that does happen in Adobe. And also of course on the cubing part, we have different cubes. One of the example is on one of the tool is the Kairos. Apart from that, of course, the Microsoft tools like SSAS, and at last the BI is the representation layer that we use. So this is a typical data pipeline that everybody understands. And moving ahead, who are the consumers of these data pipelines, right? So there are various personas to it. Executives, executive dashboards are used by executives for almost on a daily basis, and of course on the very critical for the quarterly reporting or on the year ends and the month ends, and where on the business on the operation teams like marketing, sales, and finance, right, and other operation teams are like procurement, maybe even HR, and the major operations teams are the product operations, where they derive insights of these data and take a lot of decisions to help the to help drive the customers, or like to help send the campaigns, to provide insights into the product itself. So overall, the personas are executives, and the operations teams of these business teams, engineering and R&D teams, and the product operations. Of course, from the operations perspective, the the operation teams or the SRE team, they're very much interested on these pipelines, ensure they're achieved in time as per the SLA, and they want to do a close monitoring on the data growth, the health of these pipelines on a daily basis. Up over the years, it's like DevOps now. It's more like daily stand-ups are done daily. Actually speaking, after the pandemic, we have been done. We do daily 2 days, in twice in a day stand-ups. We discuss a lot of issues in these stand-ups, and it all the operations now, from the dynamics of the data that we see, the even operations actually is being looked upon as an engineering. So also we have a theme of operations as a code. So where we drive the operations as code, where we already hit the self-healing percentage of 15% as of today, and we have a target to reach to 20%. So moving ahead, so we want to show like how exactly these pipelines can become really complex, right? So this is a simple pipeline I can call out, which the example that we are bringing in, apart from the various pipelines that we support. So here at the source, as I said, there are various sources where you get the data from .com, you get the data entitlements data from Microsoft, where you maintain the product and customer relationship, and you have finance systems, you have you know the dimensions that you maintain in some of the master systems. So of course this is generic to all the organizations, and this is just a small set of it, but we just want to show like how complex a pipeline is, and how the operations team needs to do an approach towards supporting them and driving insights out of these logs, or the processing times, or the outputs of these data, and also the orchestration layer, either it is Uzi or any of the tools like Control M. Here we have Tidal, but we have plans to move towards even the Airflow. Uh, so 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 the for the operations team, it's like the issue can be any of these touch points, or the layers that we can say. uh, we can have issues at source, we can have issues at integration layers, right? And when we are doing a processing, of course, when we are doing queuing, and also as per the, and apart from that, not only the issues, how healthy are these pipelines on a daily basis, whether are we do we know whether this particular pipeline that we support on a daily basis will it meet the SLA or not? So 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 on a holistic view, a pipeline for an operations team is to ensure like it is completing in time, so that the data is available for all the business teams to, and it's very critical, as if every day the insights are driven out of this data, and the impact actually is to the downstream systems, where they're waiting for sending, one of the example is campaigns, or enabling some of the cross sales or upsells for the sales operations. Okay, so data pipelines involves multiple tools and technologies, where you can see here, as I covered, like ETL is one of it, for the data lake, and for a distributed HDFS, and where SQLs are for I, and as for operations team, it is like where exactly the issue could happen on a daily basis when we are monitoring. So every layer that we actually monitor is very important. It's very it's very much needed to know what is the depth in these touch points, where exactly the issue might come up, where to actually tweak, and as I said, it is like not at one place, right? It is like you will have to be the master of almost many technologies, and that's how the operation team have to take right uh, remedial actions in time, so that SLAs are intact. So 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 how will we know, like, when a pipeline, where is a problem, or when a pipeline is in a delay, right? That's a major you know uh, touch point for a operations guy to know, okay, whether I'm actually whether there is an issue at which layer, whether I'm able to catch that issue at in advance, so that everything is in line. Yes, these are some of the issues that might occur in different layers, and some of the example issues that we have just brought in, just simple examples here, where there could be engineering issue, where there could be issues at the orchestration layer. Of course, at the data processing, we could have issues at data processing layer, and of course, at the replication and at the BI level as well, right? So uh, so as an problem can be anywhere for an operation person who is actually monitoring this on a daily basis. So uh, it is like also which also leads to the multiple, which the operations team will have to integrate with multiple teams to coordinate with, of course, with the platform, how the health of these pipelines are performing, how the data processing is happening, and of course with the engineering teams, I know if there are any data skewness issues, or if there are any is there any new changes that keep happening almost like alternative days from as per the business requirement. So operations team need to work with multiple different stakeholders. And yes, if you see this also, like not everybody knows all systems. Some developers would be very specific to the writing good SQLs. Some developers will be very good in the understanding the distributed file system and writing, getting everything together. Of course, the BI team would be totally different in engineering team, and even the people who are the data scientists or who understands the data or the data keywords, they would be the totally different. So overall, different teams speak different languages, and operations team is supposed to stitch all these together and ensure it is actually it is having the IMPTD and MTTR, which is mean time to detect and the mean time to resolve for any data pipeline progress that is progressing. And it all depends on ensure like SLA in the is rightly met, the target SLAs are met, so that the mean time to resolve cannot go high, so that the confidence from the business teams are intact. So overall, like from the journey of the operations team, where the operations team looks into these pipelines day in and day out, and as I said, it's like on a daily basis, they it with a lot of issues, because all these are like different integration layers. It's not that everything runs smooth. So what's missing here? How do we approach this? So how do we first measure ourselves from a pipeline layer, then from a from a job layer, then from where are the integration layers? So that is very important to understand, like how we need to have an end-to-end representation for a data pipeline, and how the operations team to understand beginning from the orchestration until the representation layer, where there will be a lot of tools and technologies that should be brought in, and the insight should be come out of those tools, so that right decisions are taken in right time, and so that, and also to ensure the MTTR is in place, and also to ensure, like the future in the further improvements that are required should be predicted as for these pipelines, right? So so it is very important for the support team to understand the end-to-end representation of the pipelines. As I said, the intelligent insights, very early in the process, the problem should be detected, so that, and also identifying the root causes should be fast, and so that fixes are in place. So these are some of the uh, points which actually drives the operations team to think how to ensure, how to bring improvements into this pipeline, where exactly is the leakage, how to improve that, and which are the different stakeholders the operations team should work with, and bring all those improvements in place, and so that, like the SLAs are intact. Okay, that's where when we started partnering with Unravel team has been already with Adobe for a year with our Adobe our admin team. So from a operations team, like from last 6 to 8 months, we partnered with Unravel team to stitch these pipelines together, and have these, like we where Unravel team with the experience of the Unravel ecosystem, and the data insights, and the platform insights they have. We have partnered with them to come out with this data, Unravel pipeline observer, where this is giving a end-to-end view of a pipeline, where the first screen, where the screen that you're seeing in front of it is, which is live now in Adobe, and where this actually gives the summary page on, like how the jobs are running, how many jobs are running, how many have failed, and how many are active, how many were completed normally. Even in the completed normally, there are insights where you can see, which are delayed, and of course, which, if you see this, one of the example where the job has run, the job is progressing around 42%, but there is an intelligent there where it says it's already delayed. So so this is where it helps actually operation engineer to uh, go to the next level of this into the visualization layer, where in the visualization layer the operation team can, the operation person can you know uh, uh, compare the current active run versus the baseline run, and to see, like, if you see this example where the actual run is taking more time, and also on the Sherlock app that gives more insights to these each of these queries that is being run, and it also says what is actually being in the detail view. You can see where exactly is the issue, and what and the operation team can go one level again, drill down on this to identify in the Sherlock app. So what is the reason behind this delay? So this is the Sherlock app details, where you can see, like, the RCA is almost, I can say, like, RCA is already derived for this example, where the current pipeline has taken almost 6 times here, from the current query has taken 6 times more than the average run, and where from here again, the next drill down can be done towards to, like, identifying which exactly that query has caused the issues, and what is that it has caused the issues, where we can see the launcher itself on this particular query has taken time, even though the first query has completed in 2 minutes, but there is a gap of 20 minutes for the second query to start. So this actually enables the operation team to understand where there was an issue at the launcher, right? And there is an action item for the platform team to look at. So this is not only for the operations team. This can be utilized by the platform team to look at these pipelines or the issues that we are that we look on a daily basis, and of course this having an historical data as well, apart from the live streams, that live pipelines that are running has been shown up on these app. So Unravel's ecosystem has been used here to stitch all these pipelines together. Excuse me. And 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 it has helped us to actually for the operations team to take decisions whenever there is a delay, whenever there is a failure, uh, and also excuse me. So now also the engineering team have started, they're one of the other set of users. They have started using Unravel app, and looking at these particular their specific jobs, and looking at the query, how these queries are performing, and again driving the improvements for that. Okay, yeah, and these are the overall benefits that we have been seeing. Almost 200 plus pipelines we have onboarded. We have another 200 in line. Excuse me. Yeah, this is helping us to actually predict the problems in advance, and early in the process, and ensuring bringing it back these pipelines health into normal, and making sure SLEs are met. And this is, as I said, it is like reduced MTTD, and helping us to have the MTTRs in place. So of course, the recent analysis that we were doing, the operation team being very self-sufficient, and they have reduced a lot of interaction with platform teams, or the tickets they have raised to platform team on the recent past, after these all the pipelines are stitched together, and when we are able to see the improvements in these when we are able to see the holistic view of these pipelines. Yeah, that's all I had from my side. Thank you, and happy to take any of the questions.
It was fantastic. I'm just going to take a few questions. One of the questions that actually came up is, like, you talked about all of these different pipelines, right? And the question really kind of is asking, is it that every, like, department at Adobe is actually data driven, and are these pipelines, the output being feeding into all of these departments? We also broke it up by persona, the exec who looks at their exec dashboard, right? The product owners, the business owners who look at these dashboards. So from a pure impact perspective, and maybe what the team is curious to know is like how much of the bottom line and revenue and things like that, right, could be driven by these pipelines. So really, like, what is the impact of these pipelines? You can elaborate more on that, right? That'll be fantastic.
Yes, yes. So uh, they're like, we do have very critical pipelines, almost close to 50, which are very critical. In that, at least, like, which 10 of them are, like, which will directly lead to a CSO if they're, not progressing. And we do have weekly pipelines and daily pipelines, as I said, and there are some data ingestions that are happening into the products. So those are very critical, which, as I said, which are directly revenue impact. And some pipelines we have weekly, which are more of a data availability for finance or from for the operations teams. So from an overall, the total pipelines and the total number of jobs that we support from an orchestration today is 2.7K or something. In that, we have 15K instances run on a daily basis out of these 2.7K jobs. In that, we have around close to 55 to 60 pipelines that are stitched together. These jobs have stitched together. So these 50 to 55 pipelines are very critical out of that. And in that, I can say out of 2.7K jobs, you know, almost 60% of the jobs of 2.7K are very critical, and they are impacting either any of the one of the departments in Adobe, where if these pipelines are not meeting their SLAs.
Got it. And have these pipelines sort of evolved over time? Did they start simple, they became complex? Like, how
Absolutely,
do you see the evolution? Yeah.
absolutely, yes. So when the organization moved from, from on-prem to SaaS, so you see that, like, number of users being grown over the years. People move away from on, like, license users towards the SaaS users. So that way you can see that over the years this has been growing. Even we are in the same journey of even this year and the next year, where we have a plan to move to the cloud, because the data has been growing vast, because the number of users have been, uh, uh, like, it's not just because of the number of users, because the number of acquisitions that has happened within an organization, which is of course same for every org. So it is, over the years it has evolved. And a simple pipeline or a simple job or title would have we would have started the title jobs for just targeting around 500 to 2, like, 500 to 600 when we onboarded. Today we are around 2.6K, as I said. And net again, we usually decommission around 1000K on a yearly basis based on the active jobs. So
Mhm.
so it has evolved a lot.
And in that evolution, like, the SLAs
Mhm.
of these pipelines also evolved? Did they start off as not having SLAs, then SLAs came? Or you mentioned in some cases maybe they went from batch to real time. So, like, can you tell the audience more about the SLAs themselves and how they have actually evolved or become more critical?
Yes. So again, same example I'll take, like, where we ingest the data into the products, where we have, data coming in from various .coms or from, analytics tools, and where, we have data ingestion going into some of the, departments, the product engineering teams, where they are dependent on the data that is available on Hadoop cluster. And, based on the data that is available on Hadoop clusters, product teams use that data to drive the further insights and further, intelligence into the product usability, that is experience they want to give it to the customers. So over the time, SLAs have, from batch, it has moved to the real time. Data in motion is one of the, like, examples that currently we have. And of course, I think Unravel team is very well aware of that, where they are closely working with Adobe platform team to ensure this the Kafka which they're using to ingest this data is very critical for these products to have. Even I think even it's not even 15 minutes. If the data in motion pipeline is down even for 5 to 15 minutes, I think is the SLA today, and a critical incident is opened.
Got it. So here's a question very specifically on the SLAs.
Mhm.
The question is asking, Are there common reasons you see these SLAs getting missed? Are there, you actually had a very very interesting slide that showed at least 20, if not 30. I kind of couldn't even count of causes of small files there, network connectivity, firewalls. Is there a common pattern, or is you things could be anything? What are reasons for SLAs getting missed? Yeah.
Yeah. So, see, common pattern, we can't say it as a common pattern, but over the days or over the weeks and over the months, what we have seen is as the change is coming in, as the data is growing, we see different, issues as the number of nodes being added into the, clusters. So those could be some of the common issues when new nodes have been added, because we could unearth a lot of issues when a new node is added, because the
Mhm.
automation would have not taken care of all the configurations that needs to be available in the nodes. And over the time, those the learnings from to the platform, or learnings to the engineering team and to the operations team, is what we have learned. But also we are using Stackstorm as one of the platform for the self healing. And what we saw a year back, which we used to self heal based on some of the issues that we see, and today we don't get that, because platform would have evolved, patching would have done, a lot of upgrades would have done, even the engineering team would have fixed a lot of those issues. So these are some of the examples that we give. The launcher issues for sure we see very common because of the resource contention. Otherwise, the small files, of course, based on the development, pattern, and and the data skewness is one thing which I can say some of the common things. But over the time, even engineering team has learned these things, and where they're incorporating into their development. Platform team is incorporating when they're adding new nodes or when they're maintaining. So, so I think, as we in the journey, it's all different issues. It won't be much of a common issues for sure.
So if I have to summarize, then constantly these problems are evolving, new things are coming up. So you would need
Exactly.
something 24 cross 7, right?
Exactly.
That is, and that itself is probably using some AI and ML to keep
Yes.
learning new patterns, so that operators can always be one step ahead because they get warned. So that's
Yes.
a very interesting observation, Durga. So a follow-up question along similar lines here, right?
Mhm.
Um, how do you track success? How do you do you track the number of missed SLAs? You track the time your team is spending troubleshooting problems. You track number of tickets that are going back and forth between teams, right?
Yep.
um, so can you tell us a little bit more about those KPIs and how you have seen
Yes.
them change over time? Maybe Unravel is helping there.
Yeah. So yes, all these SLAs are tracked from a dashboard where we have, where we call it as an operations dashboard that is built within these tools, again using Adobe and also Power BI. So all the orchestration tools and has been used for the metadata of the orchestration tool, the transactions of those data is used to build these pipelines stitched together. A metadata is built to define a pipeline, and that pipeline on a daily basis, the data is is available in Hadoop, and dashboards are built on those pipelines to see their health. What was the we have a report that can show what was the health of this pipeline yesterday or from last 1 month. So we have seen that last year, to be frank, we were around 80% around our SLA accomplishments, but today we are from last 2 quarters we are 98% and above. So it is not that only one specific improvement, but it is across improvements are being driven by the platform team and from the engineering teams. I think that's where it has helped the teams to partner and to improve these pipelines. And one more insight which I want to give is it is always a new learning for whether it is engineering team, whether it is platform, because the pipeline that you would have delivered a month back may not perform the same today because of various reasons. The changes that would have followed to the jobs, the data changes that would have come in, the dependent metadata or metastore, or the new or the platform itself being added. So so we do have measurement for all these SLAs. We have dashboards, which are live, which we can say almost close to real time. Within half an hour, we get to know what happened in the previous pipeline, and we do have measures on the pipelines. We do have measures on the jobs. What was the frequent failure jobs of last month? We do have KPIs on that. Then we do have delays, which were the jobs which are getting delayed. So these are some of the KPIs that an operation team always, and of course we have ServiceNow as one of our tool where every failure is captured in ServiceNow, and in ServiceNow where we have categories of incident is categorized to see how they are bucketed into platform, they are bucketed into engineering. So these are some of the KPIs we keep driving on a daily basis. Yeah.
Got it. So you do, you did mention this these two key metrics, the MTTD and the MTTR, the mean time to detect the problem, right, and the mean time to resolve it. And just
Yeah.
connecting to the ServiceNow part, which you mentioned, so a ticket gets created, you can then track how much time it takes to resolve it. Do you have any
Exactly.
interesting insights on the MTTD? Because is there any technique that you use internally to track if that is a metric that you're improving on?
So to be frank, this year, we have started that journey of having the MTTD KPI defined, and we are in the journey of actually implementing that. There are some ideas that we have brought in, but we have not yet gone live with this from our area. But in the different operations teams, they've already they are already live into that. But especially in the MTTD is something mean time to detect, as you know. So we are trying to come up with some of the way that we want to define them. So this year we are trying to define them and see whether these are the right KPIs to identify whether we are improving in MTD or not. One example would be like knowing at well in advance that when the data ingestion is happening or the data processing is happening, whether will I miss the SLA, right? So that I could detect that at that layer where yes, for sure I will miss the SLA, or I could detect because of the cluster utilization, for sure the next consecutive next for 1 hour unless the resource is released for next 1 hour jobs which are all scheduled for sure will be delayed because we know the resources are taken up huge because as you know the platform is it's a data platform as a service which is exposed to the number of users apart from the scheduled job that runs in the environment. So we are trying to come up with a lot of ways in which we can define these guardrails for the MTTD. Even the issues that user will come back if my data is not available, even though the jobs have been successful or the dashboard is refreshed with the latest data, but I'm not able to see this particular KPI which is wrong. So we are working towards that. Yeah, and there is an inbuilt tool as well, at, which the team is being in Adobe they are developing, where it's more of again using the ML based approach to identify the trend of the data, like what should be the download. Say for example, it's a download data for a given product. What is the trend of that download product? Download trend of that particular product. So if that actually trend is having a variance of above some percentage that we set, and before even user comes in, immediately after the data load is finished, this program is kicked in, and that actually should raise a ticket to us, right, for an operations team to immediately act upon. So these things are being worked upon. Those things should actually help us to actually have the MTTDs.
Great. This, your answer, thanks for the very detailed answer that is working, because it relates to a few questions that have come up. Because pipelines could be very long running, right?
Yep.
So if you can detect a problem with an upstream part early, right,
Yeah.
then you're better prepared to handle the entire SLA instead of waiting until everything has been missed. And you also touched upon a very interesting point in your answer, right? It's sometimes not only about performance, it could be about quality of the data,
Exactly.
right? The download data might have a different trend or properties. Is that something that you're tracking proactively, you'd like to track proactively? Can you tell the audience more about how you're thinking through that?
Yes, yes. So as I said, this year we are actually from last 2 quarters we have started to actually implement these things on some of the KPIs, which the users use frequently. Uh, so we have an inbuilt tool for that, which I said, like, we are trying to onboard those KPIs into those tools, and that should actually, provide us the insights well in advance. Immediately after the data load happens, this is a handshake job for that. Once the data load job's done is done, and this is a handshake job which picks up and actually tells the quality of the data that is being loaded.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And do you see a way in which that data is also being made available in a full 360 in a pipeline observer? So then it's one single place to track everything from performance
Exactly.
to quality.
Exactly. That's a very good insight into that. Like having everything at one place where every data pipeline is having a different layers, and of course every layer is having different job, and every job is having a particular target table, or what we call it as, like, a KPI within that table. If those things can be integrated and viewed upon, that will be the best way for any of the ops team to look at. Yeah.
Terrific, Divakar. Great insights, great presentation. Everyone in the audience has these mission critical data pipelines. So
Mhm.
thank you.
Thank you very
Back
much.
to you, Kunal.
That was great, guys. Thank you, Divakar, again for sharing a not so complicated data pipeline with us today. Hopefully everybody found it useful. Let's take a 2-minute break here, and then we'll come back with 84.